If you're familiar with Bollywood movies at all, you already recognize this scene. This right here is one of the greatest character reveals in Bollywood history. But some context first. Every year, a bunch of YouTubers get together to make a video about a certain topic with a certain theme. First, it was one marvelous scene. Then, it was one excellent scene. And now, it's time for one villainous scene. If you want to know more about this, you should watch this video by Nando V Movies. This is my first time participating in something like this. So I thought it is a good idea to revisit arguably the most famous villain in Bollywood, Gabbar Singh.
गब्बर सिंह वो मशहूर डाकू
Before we start, I have to clear the air on the very controversial fact that, like most movies of the time, there were several scenes in Sholay that borrowed inspiration and sometimes more from Western movies. But rather than being considered a cheap imitation of what came before, it should rather be looked at as a collection of some of the best ideas presented with a distinctive Indian flair, which it does deserve. That being said, let's talk about Gabbar Singh. In order to talk about Gabbar and his one villainous scene, we need to have some. Sholay is widely regarded as one of the best movies in India. It's often said that there are two Indian film industries, pre-Sholay and post-Sholay. And for Gabbar to be regarded as the best part of a movie that influential says a lot about his character. Gabbar is a bandit. And bandits were a mainstay of Bollywood for a while up until 1975 when Sholay came out. But bandits were never actually the villains though. They were the outcomes. The real villains were the systems and the institutions that drove them to it. How is it their fault that they were just playing the cards they were dealt in a game that was already rigged? This idea would again be revisited to great effect in the real life inspired movie Pan Singh Tomar about an athlete turned bandit.
आप डकैत कैसे बने?
बीहड़ में बागी होते हैं, डकैत मिलते हैं पार्लियामेंट में.
But not so Gabbar. Gabbar has no past and no future. He has no urges, nor any motivation.
And perhaps that was the power of the characters.
Right.
That there is no justification available.
Correct.
It is your imagination.
This is what-
Think whatever you like. These people are like that.
Gabbar exists as an embodiment of evil. He's not here to make a statement against the system. He's not just trying to get by in an unjust world. He's just a sadist who loves to cause suffering, who prides himself on being the most feared and the most wanted criminal in the area.
कि यहाँ से 50-50 कोस दूर गांव जब बच्चा रात को रोता है तो माँ कहती है बेटे सो जा नहीं तो गब्बर सिंह आ जाएगा.
Now on to the movie itself. Something that you have to realize about Bollywood movies is that they are long, like really long. Sholay is 3 hours and 15 minutes long, almost double of an average Western movie's runtime. It's about 40 minutes in when we hear about Gabbar for the first time.
गब्बर सिंह वो मशहूर डाकू
हाँ वही
सुना है उस पर तो पुलिस ने कुछ इनाम भी रखा है.
50,000 जिंदा या मुर्दा.
Keeping your main antagonist not only hidden but not be mentioned for so long is a huge gamble. And doing that in a revenge film is almost crazy. It is understandable why most people at the time thought this movie would not work. Not only was the movie being shot in a completely different resolution, being converted to 70mm rather than the usual Bollywood standard of 35mm, they also had to cast a complete newcomer as the antagonist, which some of the biggest names of the time refused to play. Even after 40 minutes, we only hear about him. We don't know what he looks like, we don't know what he acts like. We just know that he is dangerous. And that too, from a duo we have witnessed manhandling an entire gang of bandits. Exactly 1 hour in, we meet his lackeys. They invade the village that most of the movie is set in, have a confrontation with the villagers, and flee back to their hideout after being publicly embarrassed by our protagonists Jay and Viru. At 1 hour and 5 minutes, almost 1/3 into the movie, we get to meet Gabbar. But of course, we don't get to see him straight away. We aren't ready for that yet. He has been built up too much. He needs something more, something extra. A character set up like this, living up to such high expectation, and that too someone played by a newcomer in the industry, seems impossible. Yet, he does. His first words are still among the most famous lines in Bollywood history.
कितने आदमी थे?
Those might not sound like very important words, and granted, the impact gets lost in the translation quite a bit. But such was the power of Amjad Khan, despite this being his first major role. In retrospect, the funniest fact about the movie is that Amjad Khan almost lost the role because people thought his voice was not loud and menacing enough. His portrayal of Gabbar is very reminiscent of Heath Ledger's Joker, who himself turned seemingly innocuous lines into amazing quotes. It takes a special kind of talent to have almost all your lines be quotable even 50 years later, especially those that were not meant to be that. Amjad Khan chews up the scene like nobody's business, playing a nerve-wracking yet memorable game of Russian roulette with the lackeys who fled, and it all ends with Gabbar attacking the village and our heroes barely surviving, and that too because of his own arrogance. Here we finally catch a glimpse into the full extent of Gabbar's cruel nature, and the reason for Thakur's need for revenge, and why a once respected police officer and an apostle of justice is now hiring crooks for immense amounts of money just to capture Gabbar alive. We find out that Thakur captured Gabbar a long time ago and watched as he was dragged away screaming to jail, making vague but dire threats, and Gabbar got away, true to his word.
दुनिया की किसी जेल की दीवार इतनी पक्की नहीं कि गब्बर को 20 साल रोक सके.
Now Gabbar could have gone directly after Thakur, but he didn't. He knows how to make people suffer. He knows that Thakur loves nothing more than his family, and he picks them off one by one from atop a hill, coming down only to shoot Thakur's little grandson in the face, up close and personal. For Thakur, this was his job and his duty. Granted, he was proud of what he did, but it was never personal for him. Until now. An enraged Thakur heedlessly rushes to confront him and gets captured at a natural choke point. Something a rational Thakur would have never done. Gabbar knew Thakur would come for him. How could he not? He was prepared to kill Thakur now. Perhaps Thakur would be broken by now. But now Thakur has another reason to keep going. His need for revenge. So of course, Gabbar still does not kill Thakur. Gabbar wants to take that away from him too, but not by killing him. That would be too merciful. He wants Thakur to suffer, and suffer he does. Being a child of cultivator landlords in an Indian village, Thakur would naturally take pride in the use of his arms. All those years ago, he caught Gabbar in a chokehold, calling his arms a noose. His physical attributes take on a more metaphorical significance. His arms have transcended from mere appendages to instruments of justice, and now they have become a tool of Thakur's revenge. He does not even stop to pick up a gun despite owning multiple firearms. He fails, and in the most iconic scene in Sholay, Gabbar takes away Thakur's ability to take revenge. Gabbar takes away Thakur's hands.
ये हाथ हमको दे दे ठाकुर. ये हाथ हमको दे ठाकुर.
Bollywood has always had over-the-top eccentric villains, but they are usually confined to certain stereotypes. Sometimes we get a backstory that helps us understand why a character does what he does. Sometimes, and this is more recent, the villain is played up to be the comedic relief. Even Ramadhir Singh, one of the best villains of the 2010s in Bollywood, has his fair share of meme-worthy moments.
बेटा, तुमसे ना हो पाएगा. हमें तुम्हारे लक्षण बिल्कुल ठीक नहीं लग रहा है. तुमसे ना हो पाएगा.
But more often than not, if you have to show that a character is truly evil, he will be made into a sexual deviant, only driven by his urge to prey on innocent women. It's a good enough tactic to make a character truly despicable, but that is not a character that will be remembered fondly. There are no justifications you can give for their actions.
But you will notice one thing about a villain. Whether in Mr. India or in Sholay or in Shan or in Zanjeer.
That's right.
These villains are not lechers. they also looked powerful, all these villains, because they were not lechers.
Right.
Because you can't admire a lecher.
True.
You can admire an immoral person.
Correct.
But that too should have a dignity.
Right.
Our villains have always been very dignified. Evil but dignified.
Though cruel, Gabbar remains devoid of lechery, lending him a rare charisma that most Bollywood villains lack on account of their perversion. Unlike most bandit villains before and after his time, Gabbar is not simply focused on an ultimate goal. He actively participates in the process. He gets his hands dirty and enjoys it to no end. Gabbar's cruelty is not just in what he does, it's in how he does it. He won't just kill his lackeys, he will play a game of Russian roulette with them. And just when they think they are safe, he won't just kill Thakur, he will prolong his suffering as much as he can, taking away everything he holds dear.
अब मैं तुझे जान से नहीं मारूंगा, वो हाल करके छोड़ूंगा कि दुनिया थूकेगी तुझ पर.
He will stop a perfectly successful raid just so he can savor the pleasure of the heroes licking his boots.
तुमने सुना मैंने क्या कहा? सुना? वो सर, ये पैर.
And he will torture the love interest of our hero only to toy with them and nothing else.
Even when he looks at this girl, Basanti, and asks her to dance, there is no sexual
Correct.
innuendo in it. He just wants to torture her.
Correct.
And torture him. That's about all. He's not interested in her.
It is a testament to the ability of everyone involved that Gabbar became India's most recognized villain, even though he has less than 10 scenes in the movie. Gabbar does not need a harrowing backstory to be memorable. The essence of the character is his cruelty, and the writers made sure to make it the core of his personality.
देखो छमिया, ज्यादा नखरे मत करो, नहीं तो ये गोरी चमड़ी है ना, सारे बदन से खुरच खुरच कर उतार दूंगा, समझी?
अब इसमें गब्बर खुरच खुरच में है. वो ये भी कह सकता है कि तुम्हारी खाल खींच दूंगा, मगर खाल खींचने में प्रोसेस बड़ा क्विक है. सेडिस्ट तो आराम से करेगा, तो खुरच जो खुरच का राह है उसमें वो मजा लेगा. खुरच खुरच के उतार दूं.
It is easy to relegate Gabbar to a one-note character, but that does not make it a bad character. He is everything that the writers intended him to be, and so much more. Gabbar is the most quoted villain in Bollywood history, and might as well be the most quoted character in India. It is Gabbar's love for pain and suffering, coupled with the presence of a great theatre artist, that still keeps him in conversation after all these years.
So often people ask me this question that here was Gabbar who was totally unscrupulous, ruthless, sadistic. Why he became so popular?
Right.
And why he became so popular among children? See, I have thought about it. You admire unrestricted power.
True.
You admire people who are a law unto themselves.
Correct.
And that is why you admire Robin Hood. Or you admire any underworld, Al Capone.
Right.
You see that complete absence of any conscience.
Right. It's very magnetic.
Somewhere is admirable.
True.